I was a 7-year-old girl who was labeled as bossy for speaking up during discussion circle. I was a 16-year-old girl who was told to move when I was the one at the podium to speak. My experiences with gender inequality pale in the face of so many stories that I've heard from the women around me, but they've taught me to truly hate the words quiet and silence. Be quiet, stay silent, because only then are you doing what you're supposed to be doing. When I was growing up, I didn't quite understand the sanctitude of your voice, the entitlement you have to your voice, and the power you wield by just saying something. I used to think that I had to put up this impenetrable front, that folding in on myself was easier than shaking the dust that is the status quo. I became someone who was okay with good enough. I became someone who was okay with giving up, and I became someone who would sacrifice their voice. I put up with things I didn't like because I was scared. I was scared of being shoved into this suffocating category that labeled me as annoying or bossy or both. I realized that I had to do something about all of this. What I didn't understand at age 7 or 16 was the power of the ripple effect, the power of the individual, no matter how seemingly young and impressionable they may be. We're all met with so much stimuli. Everyone feels like they have to contribute their 2 cents to every situation, that somehow they're entitled to telling us how they feel about the way we dress or the way we act, but it's all white noise, stuff we have to learn to piece through because otherwise we'll lose track of the things that really matter. Once we do this, we can begin to develop our own voices. I discovered my voice because I saw things happening around me that didn't align with what I believed to be right. I could no longer sit back and watch the environmental degradation that surrounded me, like somehow I was disconnected from it all, without saying anything. It started as this feeling in the pit of my stomach, discomfort, and then action, and before I knew it, I was standing up in front of hundreds of people, making myself completely vulnerable. I used to think that vulnerability was a bad thing, that it should be avoided at all costs, because otherwise, you can't be happy and accepted by the people around you. But I was wrong. Vulnerability is the epitome of strength and confidence. It allows for positive discourse and honesty and change. I realized that defensiveness builds up walls, these impenetrable barriers meant to keep people out. And categorizing somebody strips them of their ability and their reach. It's like trying to navigate a room in the dark, but we have to be stubborn. The word stubborn doesn't get the rep it deserves. I'm proud to say that I'm stubborn. I'm proud to say that I was raised by stubborn women, and I'm proud to say that I grew up in a community surrounded by these women. What this word really means is regardless of the circumstances, regardless of whether people tell you you can or can't do something, you do it. The women in my life taught me that relentless determination and femininity can coexist within a person. They're not mutually exclusive. So be proud of your stubbornness and use it in everything that you do. I realized that creating a platform is not exclusive to men or even adults. It's not like turning 18 grants you access to this world of possibility. I want other young people to know that as long as they're passionate, they can do it. My sophomore year of high school, I started my own service organization that works to support local Thai farmers and promote sustainability. I use this as a platform of sorts to advocate on behalf of the stuff that matters to me. I've been able to publish in a scientific journal, create my own kids' sustainability toy, speak at a breakfast for the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, and give my own TED Talk. But these events are not indicative of some sort of special skill that I have. They're not exclusive to me. All I did was ask. All I did was be persistent and stubborn and took risks that put me in vulnerable positions. Other young people can create platforms if they want one, and they should. Yes, it's scary, but at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. I used to be somebody who wanted to blend into the background because some little kid thought it would be funny to call me bossy. But now I want to use my voice in an unforgiving manner. The question is how? How do we ensure that things improve, that men and women are treated in the way that they should be? If we do this, we can deal with overarching issues more effectively, like environmental degradation. We need young people. Like me, young people don't have years of experience or degrees to their names, but they're impulsive. And I don't mean this word in its connotative sense. I mean that they don't think too much before they act. They don't spend hours and hours planning and getting caught up in this idea of the future that human productivity quietly sneaks off to. We don't have time to plan. We have to act now. I encourage adults, especially women, to reach out to the kids around them. Girls who foster this belief that because they have two X chromosomes, they can't do it. I also think that we could all benefit from acting a little bit more like adults. I know these two events in one's life seem mutually exclusive, but they're not, and they shouldn't be. So act impulsively, act with emotion, and act with imagination, please. I want you to consider what it is you want to do in the future. I can tell you that someday I want to be a lawyer. I know that this is your quintessential old boys club, but that's why I want to do it. I want to create platforms for men and women who don't yet have access to them. The incredible thing about this summit is the goal is to inspire hope for the future rather than demonize the past. It's so easy to be negative, but nothing good ever came of easy. I encourage you to reach out to the young people in your life. Inspire them to create their own platforms and embrace the challenge and act. I guess I could say thank you to that little boy who called me bossy all those years ago. It feels good to prove people wrong.